Hi there ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's time to talk about another horror movie. Today's entry into the oeuvre of my reviews is The Black Cat from 1981. This is a Lucio Fulci movie. One of his kind of supernatural slash slight Giallo crossover movies. So yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun to talk about. So the plot of this movie, essentially a young couple goes missing. And no one's really sure why or what happened to them. The local police call in an inspector played by David Warbeck, who had previously starred in The Beyond and was in a bunch of Fulci movies actually. The couple are found dead, locked in a tomb of some sort, where they were going to get frisky, but seem to have gotten locked in somehow and lost oxygen. Meanwhile, an American tourist played by Mimsy Farmer is in the town photographing some of the local sites, and she gets dragged into this whole thing when she begins to discover a series of clues that could lead to the unravelling of the investigation. It implicates a strange local man who's believed to have telepathic powers, played by Patrick McGee, who, if you're interested, is the bloke from Clockwork Orange who says, "Try the wine." I've got to say, I am a fan of Lucio Fulci. I think that on a visual level he was one of the best directors horror ever had. Unfortunately his films often lacked narrative clarity. And this movie, I've got to say, is one of the ones that handles its narrative a little bit better out of Fulci's movies. You know, plenty of his movies had narrative problems, you know. The Beyond is always going to be a confusing as fuck movie for no real reason. It's just, you know, and that's just the way that some of Fulci's movies are. They're just, you know, the plots are often a little bit too complicated for their own good. That said, I think, like I say, I think this movie handles it a lot better. It essentially has this kind of dual narrative going on. You've got the investigation of the police on the one side, the David Warbeck side, and then on the Mimsy Farmer side you've got this tourist who kind of gets, you know, pulled into it all, you know, almost by accident, who has to kind of establish what she thinks and sort of does a little bit of amateur sleuthing. I think that in weaving those two separate threads together, this movie is, like I say, one of Fulci's more narratively sound movies, and overall it does maintain a really good pace most of the way through. I got to say, there is some pretty entertaining violence in this movie in terms of like blood and gore. The movie's only a 15, but I think that's mainly because the violence isn't kind of human on human. It's mainly kind of accidents happening and stuff. You know, there's one part where a guy falls onto some spikes, and there's another one where a guy goes crashing through like the windscreen of his car and his head's all fucked up, you know. So it does contain that kind of iconic Fulci viscera. There's no eye damage in this movie though. Like, I know Fulci loved to, you know, fuck up some eyes. I think that was sort of one of his hallmarks, but there's none of that in this movie. And on the same sort of note of that as that, on a visual level as a whole, this movie is killer. You know, pretty much everything Fulci ever did was visually all killer, no filler, you know. You're really looking at a guy who knew how to make movies. There's really no two ways about that for me. So the acting as a whole is mixed. Some of the acting is a little bit daggy, I've got to say. Not the whole lot. Not the whole lot. It is, you know, obviously the likes of David Warbeck are fine, and Patrick McGee does great. You know, these are really good actors. But some of the other kind of bit part characters and stuff really let the side down a little bit, which is unfortunate because, you know, that's something that this movie could benefit from quite a bit. And not only that, but the ending is a little bit not the best. I've got to say, I don't really care for it. This movie feels like it ends a little bit sooner than it should. It feels like there should be a little bit more explanation and a little bit more of something to go on after the climax of the movie before it cuts to, you know, the credits or whatever. Which is a shame because the movie does really well up to that point, I've got to say. Maybe it's just that I'm a Fulci fan. I enjoy, you know, the majority of his work. Most of his movies I find to be really entertaining. But this one is no exception. I really think this is an enjoyable movie. I enjoyed watching the plot unfold until towards the end it kind of started to become a bit obvious. But to start with, it all went really well. This movie did good work in kind of getting you interested in the mystery and whatnot. Overall, I'm going to give The Black Cat an 8 out of 10. I definitely think Fulci did a really solid movie here that continued his run of good form. It's not one of his ultimate classics at all, but overall I do have to give it credit for being a really enjoyable movie with a great atmosphere. You know, a movie that's very well made. Definitely some creepy stuff in this one, which is a lot of fun. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you again very soon. If you want to hear more of me in the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, all of that's awesome. Also go down into the description, find the link to my podcast. It's called Ironcast, all about music. You'll definitely find something there that you like. Also, please do go down and check out my Amazon wishlist, and if you see something there you really want me to review, please do consider ordering it for me, and I promise I will love you forever if you do that, because that is just the coolest thing you could possibly do to support this channel. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you again very soon.